Jacksonville State head coach John Gross, the Gamecocks fell behind they beat UT Martin 37-20 last week. They're up to 8 in both top 25 polls. They'll be at home. They're going to play SEMO on Sunday. So, Coach, just thoughts on that win at UT Martin and your team's start to the
Well, I mean, I think you got to be happy anytime you get a win in this league, whether it be at home or on the road, especially I think on the road. So Martin's always a tough place to go play. Coach Simpson does a fantastic job, I think, of with their football team, and they got a really good team as usual. So I mean, they got a talented receiver core, and quarterback is a very accurate passer and makes plays, and so we knew he was going to be in for a full quarter war, and it went that way. Now it's the first time I thought. Our team's still very, very young, and so to face adversity and have to face something like that on the road, a long road trip, and play out of that after the first quarter because things did not go our way early in that game whatsoever, and we had to respond to that. And I think this team found a way to respond to that, and battle back and take the lead, and then hang on the lead at the end. And so I was excited to see them be able to do that against a good football team. And then, we get to come back home this week and play another great opponent. I mean, I think week in, week out, this league, you've got to play your A game to have a chance to win. And definitely the pace of SEMO, they pride themselves in stopping the run the football. And so we do too. So it ought to be a good game. I think it's going to be one of those classic games. It always is. So we're excited about the challenge.
You got a lot of questions, media day and off season. Your team struggled to your standards last year. What's different this year? Why has your team gotten off to obviously really good in the fall and to a 3-0 start in the OVC?
Well, I mean, I think our chemistry is really good. I think we are really young in 19, so I don't think people realize how young we were up front, both sides of the ball, and we. Not since I've been here, we've been that young. And so we got the same guys playing. So there's a lot of continuity there, a lot of game experience there. Even though we're still young, these guys have played a lot of ball games. And so that's, I think that's the main thing. And these guys, it's a fun group to work with. They go to work every day. And we practice physical. These guys don't complain about anything we ask them to do. So that's the things you want to see from a football team. And I see them growing, getting better, finding ways to get better. So I think when we're through with practice, those guys are hanging around finding other things to do. We'll be throwing and catching or working on footwork stuff or hand placement stuff. So this team's just really dedicated to getting better each and every week.
Well, you talk a little bit about your running game. Just from on paper, it seems like it's a lot better than last year too. And you got several different people to kind of change the pace and get in there. 3 people who had over 35 yards this past week.
Well, like all 3 of our running backs, I think they're doing a great job. And then I think it goes back to youthfulness up front. I mean, I just think we're a really young football team up front, and at times we're very bad up front offensively in 19. So this year, I think they're just progressing and they're just getting better, every week. Playing really physical, staying up, getting a hat on hat, as I call it, in run game and pass protection. So really pleased the way those guys are playing. And as any coach will tell you, that's a position usually gets banged up. So hopefully those guys will stay healthy throughout the year. And we've had some injuries moving forward, but hopefully that group will stay healthy.
You obviously talked about SEMO in the open there. They had a double overtime game that obviously could have gone either way. And you've had some good games with them the last couple of years. It seems they're running the ball really well too. Can you talk about just that sort of matchup of both teams?
Well, I mean, I think they can run it well, and all are committed to that. But I think they got a quarterback that's really special too. I mean, I think he's a really good player, and that's where they're a little bit different to me. Is he's a very accurate passer and is doing a really good job with the football. So they can throw the football as well. So it makes them harder to defend, I think. And then I think it's just always going to be a war with us and them. And it's just this league. I mean, you look at the double overtime game with them and Austin Peay, then the Murray game. I mean, those games are just going to come down to whoever's got the ball last and can make a play. So. And I think that's the rest of our stretch as well. I mean, it's going to be that way. And this game's going to be that way. I always kind of say it's going to be kind of a classic game, and, it's going to be a good football game. So, it's going to be a lot of a lot of physical football played, and that's why we want to line up and play. And I think it's going to be a fun game.
You may have heard the question that you got, but you're 3 games in. I know you're focused on yourself, but really everybody's still alive in the race and it's competitive and people are playing close games. You have any just general impressions of the OVC through 3 weeks?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of good football being played. I've always said this is a well-coached league that's got really good players, and I think the player part has gotten even better as the years have went by. I think everybody's got their niche in recruiting, and there's some really good football that's played in OVC, and I think it's a slap in the face. I think we get overlooked a lot of times nationally, with rankings and things like that, which don't mean anything. It don't mean anything when it comes down to playoffs, what anybody's ranked. But Murray's 3-0. They got a good football team. CMO's got 2 losses, and they got a really good football team. So there's some teams there that should be ranked as well as we're ranked. I mean, you look at what CMO did in Southern Illinois in the fall. I mean, that game, and Southern Illinois was ranked up there high. But they could have won that game as a 3-point game, I believe. So, I think the top to bottom, the parity always continues to get better, and I think it's that way this year. And it will come down to the last week of the year. Probably who wins this league. So, I mean, you just gotta. I tell our guys, we don't look ahead at who we're playing. We started watching SEMO tape this week, and we're just locked in on them this week, and nothing else. Our primary focus is how to get lined up and play and be sound in everything we're doing this week.
One final question, let you go. Maybe it's like this in other years when you have freshmen, but you're playing in September. So maybe I'm just more focused on it now since it's been a long time since we played OVC games. But everybody's got players who are new, whether it's freshmen or transfers. How do you prepare? Now you've seen tape on these teams, but you're preparing for guys that haven't before, and you all have got a couple people who are popping up amongst your best players who have never played. So maybe just a little bit about preparing for newcomers, the newcomers on your team.
Well, and I think the first game was really tough just going into it, and people had tape on us because we played in the fall and we didn't have any tape. So you're starting to learn a lot more, I think, about the teams that are playing now that you're getting 2 and 3 games on these guys. You kind of see their personnel, and I think every program has its identity, and what they're going to do. I think like SEMO coach too, they're going to do what they do. That's not going to change a whole lot year to year, and the same thing we are. It's not going to change a whole lot year to year what we're doing. But your personnel does dictate that a little bit, and what you're doing, and just to get that tape and learn more about those teams is I think big. And we got a couple of new coaches in the league, so you kind of get to see their scheme and kind of what they're doing as well. So as you get to play, you just realize, hey, there's a lot of good teams in this league, and I think this is one of the better years for sure. I mean, it's like we beat a really good team last week in Martin, and that team could very easily be undefeated. So you don't count them out. They got a good football team. So, and I think all the rest of them that we play are really good football teams too. So, like I said, start with you're fortunate to come up with a win any weekend when you play an OVC.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time this morning. Best of luck on Sunday. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.